Good morning from San Antonio, Texas. I'm Mike Lovell. I go by Apollo, and it's my honor to welcome you today to the San Antonio Electromagnetic Defense Quarterly Meeting for the 25th of June, 2021. Slide, please. So, just as a refresh, since this hybrid or virtual world that we're in now, we've got more than 430 participants in our event. And it's really hard to know how many people have been exposed to our program before. This may be your first exposure. So we like to start off with talking about what Joint Base San Antonio's initiative is that's referred to as San Antonio Electromagnetic Defense. Our mission is to ensure Joint Base San Antonio continues military operations in a post-electromagnetic pulse environment. You may say, what is that? Well, think of it as a long-term regional power outage where no one's coming to help you. Those bucket trucks in the neighboring town, the neighboring state, they're busy at home. They've got their own challenges with a major long-term regional power outage. That's the type of event we're preparing for here. So we've created an EMP resiliency model to replicate across DoD. I'll share that with you on the next slide. It's ready to go now. We know some sister cities are already starting to apply it. We also want to support a dissuasion strategy to preclude EMP or electromagnetic pulse as a weapon. Third, we've got a 5G effort. Today we'll talk about not only where we've been in 5G, but where we're going. Just to reflect for a few minutes, when we started this program in 5G, it was originally focused at being risk adverse. Then we moved into an opportunities arena, and that's when OUSD Office of Research and Engineering decided to sponsor 2 programs for 5G research and development at Joint Base San Antonio. Today we're going to open up a 3rd phase of this program where we're going to bring artificial intelligence into it. And with that, I would ask for the next slide, please. So this is a kind of an eye chart, but I describe it as our ecosystem that we've created under San Antonio Electromagnetic Defense. San Antonio EMD, pictured under General Miller's image in the center of the screen, is a P4 relationship with the community. It's a public-private relationship where now we have over 430 volunteers, subject matter experts that have come together through 80 different organizations that are helping us go after this challenge. On the left of the screen, you'll see a patch. Well, that patch represents our small staff element that serves as a liaison with those imaged up in the upper left. That's a small representation of more than 80 organizations that help us crowdsource issues in this environment. By crowdsourcing, we bring the cost curve down to EMP resilience, and it's really helping us out long term. We have 4 different lines of effort. We have infrastructure resiliency, meaning power, water, waste, gas, electric, transportation, communications. We have our 2nd line of effort, which is 5G, 5th generation cellular. Our 3rd line of effort is policy and education. And our 4th line of effort is resilience readiness. So today you're going to get updates on all 4 of these lines of effort. But before doing so, I want to go over the agenda that we've mapped out. Slide, please. So our agenda today will start with our keynote speaker after we receive General Miller's opening remarks. Our keynote speaker is Dr. Paul Rad. He's from the University of Texas at San Antonio, and he's going to help cast our vision towards augmented reality and artificial intelligence in 5G and how this Internet of Things comes together and how it can be informed with artificial intelligence. So after our guest speaker, Dr. Paul Rad, presents us the 5G vision, Dr. Patricia Gippard, will give us an update on our 5G program and the steering group, where we're at and where we're going. We'll go into an infrastructure resiliency update. I'll be giving that update along with Mr. Fred Bonnywell from CPS Energy and Ms. Vivian Bouet. Before we also hear from Mr. John Ostrich with the Department of Energy. He's going to be transmitting to us from Washington, D.C. Following that, we will get an update from Dr. John Huggins with the National Security Collaboration Center as it relates to our domestic electromagnetic spectrum operations, or our policy and education line of effort. And then I'll be capping it off with the recovery readiness update before turning it over to Ms. Breeza Horace for administrative remarks before we go to closing comments by General Miller. So we've got an exciting hour mapped out, and then we'll take a quick break before coming back up in this same Zoom room for our Q&A session that will follow for about 20 minutes thereafter. So with that, it is my honor to introduce the Joint Base San Antonio and 502nd Air Base Wing Commander, Brigadier General Caroline Miller.
Hello, I am Brigadier General Caroline Miller, Commander of the 502nd Air Base Wing and Joint Base San Antonio. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to today's San Antonio Electromagnetic Defense Quarterly Meeting. Since our last quarterly meeting on March 19th, tremendous progress has been made in each of SA-EDI's 4 lines of effort, and I'm excited for everyone to hear the updates today. As the commander of the largest joint base in the Department of Defense, I am thankful to each and every volunteer in this effort. Because of your contributions, San Antonio has gained state and national attention for our whole of community approach to electromagnetic pulse defense as we work to provide resiliency against long-term power outages, demonstrating the art of the possible. The work we are doing and technologies we are testing will greatly assist with building resiliency within our power grids, and these efforts continue to be vital to DoD's missions and national security. This was recently noted during the FY22 budget briefing with Senate appropriators by the Acting Secretary of the Air Force, John P. Roth, who stated, "Our nation's competitive strategic advantage relies on air and space superiority, which is underpinned by rapid technology advancement." I am encouraged by the progress being made throughout the SAEMD in advancing technology, including the work being done by our 5G research and experimentation site and their mission partners. I look forward to seeing the site's efforts and ideas flourish and hearing the accolades as they continue to share development and EMD resilience plans with others across the nation. During today's meeting, we will continue our tradition of sharing as we hear from our keynote speaker, Dr. Paul Rad of the University of Texas at San Antonio, as he introduces new concepts in artificial intelligence and challenges for us to consider as we apply AI to our 5G research. We also welcome Mr. John Ostrich from the Department of Energy, who will provide updates on 3 of his organization's electromagnetic pulse pilot projects being worked with CPS Energy here in Texas. I would like to congratulate Mr. Fred Bonnewell of CPS Energy on his recent promotion to Chief Operating Officer. CPS is one of our key partners in electromagnetic defense, and Fred has done a fantastic job collaborating with both SAEMD and the JBSA Electromagnetic Defense Initiative. Before we get started, I would also like to welcome Ms. Breeza Horace to the JBSA EDI team. She is a great addition, and I am so proud of her work.
Thank you, General Miller. It's now my pleasure to introduce our featured speaker today. Dr. Paul Rad is an associate professor at the University of Texas at San Antonio. He specializes in cyber analytics and artificial intelligence. He's a standing committee member of quantitative literacy at University of Texas at San Antonio and has areas of research including decision-making and autonomy, machine learning algorithms, distributed real-time computing, and beyond this impressive list that's shown on the slide, he's a senior member of the National Academy of Inventors. He's the Peter T. Flawn Endowed Professor for 2021. He's a director of Secure AI and Autonomy Lab and a co-founder of Open Cloud Institute. It is indeed my honor to introduce to you today our keynote, Dr. Paul Rad. Welcome, Dr. Rad.
Hi. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me to discuss why we believe 5G and AI will drive the next wave of connectivity and smart and connected application breakthroughs. My name is Paul Rad, an associate professor in Department of Computer Science and Information System and Cybersecurity at UTSA. In recent years, researchers from across the world have been developing AI. They showed impressive achievements in many applications such as computer vision, voice recognition, autonomous driving, medical imaging, vaccine discovery, and even understanding natural language using GPT-3 model. Most of the impressive AI performance comes from large amount of training data collected and labeled from real world or simulated environments, and many of these large-scale models are so computationally intensive that they must be operated on the cloud. In parallel, the recent mobile cloud revolution was brought in by the combination of smartphones, high-quality mobile broadband, which universally available everywhere, and mainly cloud computing, availability of on-demand ubiquitous platforms for delivering apps from the cloud. The openness of these platforms through APIs, which enabled new applications to be hosted on smartphones and operate complete services back on the cloud through APIs, revolutionized every industry and our daily activities, from how we connect through social networks, read news, order food, request a ride through Uber, and even utilizing Google Maps. The mobile cloud revolution boosted the benefits of embedded device computing at the edge, sometimes known as the Internet of Things or IoT, where every device and sensor can be connected to the cloud and run AI. The impact of bringing intelligence to the edge connected devices, such as smart factories, smart grids, and medical service in the field, is enormous. And unlike smartphones, these devices require some degree of autonomy because no intelligent person holds and operates them at all times. And these systems must sense, perceive, infer, and act on their own. When we look back at the history of the Internet and World Wide Web, or the mobile cloud and 4G LTE, we see great things happen with advancements in the telecommunications and computing industries come together. 5G is about the smart everything, massive computing and intelligence moving towards the edge. 5G connectivity is way beyond just higher speed connectivity. It's about providing granular service through network slicing. It is about providing high quality of service, the ability to provide million of connectivity per square kilometers, and a platform for a smart Internet of Things. With the combination of edge computing, IoT, and 5G, we are at the tipping point of the next era of computing. Data science and AI will be used to digitize the Internet of Things, and these systems must sense, perceive, infer, and assist human operator in time-sensitive applications. This is where the confluence of AI and 5G will take off. I'm going to give some insight on how 5G is evolving, discuss why the technology is so essential, and show you a variety of new applications that could emerge. 5G really brings to life 4 transformational capabilities that can enable application connectivity and continuous computing. I would like to take a minute to explain why these are so essential. First of all, it brings massive improvement in speed. We are not completely there yet, but ultimately we will get up to 10 gigabytes per second to a connected cellular device. 5G is also more efficient and can use large millimeter wave bandwidth spectrum and enable us to achieve higher bandwidth and data throughput and the network slicing. The incredible bandwidth that is achieved with millimeter waves, the spectrum efficiency that we get from massive MIMO is substantial. It can also bring much more capacity than 4G LTE network and can serve up to 1 million active IoT devices per square kilometer simultaneously. But 5G is more than just faster speeds, capacity, or higher bandwidth. It also introduces a new set of low latency computing infrastructure at the edge, enabling a new wave of ultra low latency applications, moving from our current 100 milliseconds of latency to single digit millisecond latency. There has been a couple of evolution in the work of networking in the past few years. First is software-defined networking to separate the control plane from the data plane, which enables programmatic control of the network. The other idea is network function virtualization, which essentially decouples network devices and functionalities from the hardware and virtualizing them. The software-defined networking and network function virtualization would enable implementing AI-driven control loops in various parts of the 5G network. It is going to be AI on mobile devices to do real-time waveform adaptation and spectrum analysis. It is going to be AI in the radio access network to control functionality like scheduling, mobility, and user access. It is going to be AI at the edge to conduct radio access network optimization, caching, edge services, radio network access slicing, and also AI in the core, implementing orchestration of virtualization functionalities, as well as network wide slicing and virtualization of the network. In this architecture, mobile edge computing enables us to take compute power and push it to the edge of the network and having a fundamental impact on the latency between the device and the computing power, helping to respond anywhere between 10 to 30 milliseconds. This latency enables a whole set of new applications that is not possible today with 4G LTE's technology. In 2021, we are seeing new use cases beyond just web browsing or basic AR, VR. We are discussing immersive VR, AR, remote surgery concepts, and smart factories, which milliseconds matters. With today's cloud computing architecture, including CDNs, we can serve application with 30 to 100 millisecond latency at the best. Why edge is so important to the enablement of these applications? Because it's all about latency. Think about us building an application, connecting devices from the edge of the network and needing to have access compute power all the way back to the cloud data center. We are talking about 30 to 100 millisecond latency. This is not enough for immersive virtual reality and augmented mixed reality applications or a lot of smart factories or real-time cloud robotic applications. As an example, to provide medical services out in the field, A 5G connected ambulance can connect capabilities from the front line of patient care to the hospital and services behind it. In circumstances where even a fraction of a minute can make a difference, allowing a group of doctors to see and work on the patient remotely and provide detailed direction and guidance to the on-site caregiver until he or she arrives to the hospital. While we were discussing the future possibility of 5G to enable intelligence everywhere, at the end, I would like to briefly mention some potential cybersecurity challenges and pitfalls that we should research and investigate. In a cybersecurity context, artificial intelligence models open new vector of attacks compared to classical software, as displayed here, representing the paradigm change by AI component in the cybersecurity of digital systems. Vulnerabilities can be exploited at the level of the different elements presented in the distributed AI processing chain, multiplying the potential threats and then the global risk of failures. Although many common techniques require the knowledge of the parameters of the model, of the deep learning model, to exploit these vulnerabilities and build attack, this is unlikely to be a limiting factor for attackers. First, it has been shown that it is feasible to perform these attacks in a black box setting with comparable performance by approximating the model through a limited series of well-designed queries. Second, adversarial examples have been shown to possess a property of transferability in many configurations, such as malicious samples from a model designed by the attacker can be still effective against a large model. Finally, any breach of security of the system storing the AI model could be exploited in order to discover its mathematical structure and plan a more comprehensive attack. I believe 5G and Edge AI is going to be the next wave of innovation for time-sensitive application development. And it's also super exciting to know San Antonio is recognized as the leading expert in 5G as a ubiquitous platform for data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning proliferation. And Joint Base San Antonio will investigate truly innovative breakthroughs and applications in the area of 5G security, telemedicine, and medical training using immersive AR/VR technologies. The goal is to create a body of knowledge to inform 5G planning and partner with the community on 5G development, on telemedicine, medical training, and core cybersecurity, as well as 5G policies. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this presentation brings ideas as how you can transform your business. Thank you very much. Bye.
Good morning. I'm Patricia Geppert, the Data Analytics Lead with the JBSA 5G Program Management Office. Thank you, General Miller, for the opportunity to provide a briefing on the activities of Line of Effort 2, the JBSA 5G Next Gen Initiative. As you know, just over a year ago, the Office of the Undersecretary for Defense for Research and Engineering selected JBSA in the second tranche of military bases in the 5G Next Gen Initiative. The purpose of the initiative is to accelerate development of 5G technology for the military and the nation. JBSA was the only base to be awarded 2 5G experiments. 5G and telemedicine and medical training, and 5G core capabilities and security. At the last SAEMD quarterly meeting, we provided a detailed description of the projects being developed under the 2 experiments. Today, I will provide a status update on the experiments and other activities in this line of effort. Next slide. The 5G and telemedicine and medical training experiment leverages new technologies such as augmented reality, or AR, and the low latency and high bandwidth of 5G to collapse space and time to achieve real-time virtual and digital medical support. 5G allows medical training and expertise to be available anywhere it is needed at any time. We have 2 projects that are supported through awards from the National Spectrum Consortium, OTA. 5G-enabled AR-guided medical training and 5G telementoring via AR for medical procedures. The request for prototype proposals, or RPP, for these projects was released from the National Spectrum Consortium on June 7th. Vendors have 45 days to prepare proposals, and the proposal deadline submission is at midnight on July 21st. We anticipate awards to be announced in September. Vendors must be a member of the National Spectrum Consortium to submit proposals. Next slide. The 5G core capabilities and security experiment focuses on further developing the revolutionary capabilities of 5G that optimize network performance and security. In order for the 5G network to operate across the world, it has to be vendor agnostic, that is interoperable, resilient, and secure. In 2 projects supported by the National Spectrum Consortium, OTA, we are experimenting with prototypes that use management and network orchestration to control interoperability as demonstrated with the pilot transition training program, and network slicing and network function virtualization to support secure lines of communication. In order to develop and demonstrate these prototypes, JBSA is installing a state-of-the-art 5G standalone testbed. The 5G standalone testbed offers a fully virtualized 5G system from the 5G new radio to the 5G core. The current commercially available 5G networks are non-standalone, meaning that they utilize the 5G new radio that sits on a 4G or light network. The 4G LTE network doesn't offer the capabilities of network slicing and MANO that makes 5G revolutionary. The request for prototype proposals, or RPP, for these projects was released from the National Spectrum Consortium on June 14th. Vendors, again, have 45 days to prepare proposals, and the proposal submission deadline is midnight on July 28th. We anticipate awards to be announced in September. Vendors, again, must be a member of the National Spectrum Consortium to submit proposals. Next slide. In the last quarterly meeting, we discussed the cell-on-light trucks, or COLTs, that are experimental mobile 5G systems developed for the Department of Defense. JBSA has 2 of these vehicles for experiment and testing in collaboration with Army North. We are currently going through COLT training and developing an experiment plan for the upcoming year. Next slide. In addition to the 2 experiments that I just described, the JBSA 5G Program Management Office is also supporting a number of other projects to accelerate the development of 5G technology. Some of these projects are in collaboration with small businesses and other military partners. These projects extend our experiments by developing secure, interoperable, and resilient capabilities. There are a couple of new initiatives that JBSA is exploring to leverage 5G technology. The first is airborne 5G communications for data exchange. One of the features of 5G is the massive bandwidth that can be used for transferring large amounts of data. One of the challenges faced by the military is transferring large amounts of data that is collected during airborne missions to the field crew for analysis. In the past, only a portion of the potentially petabytes of data that is collected could be transmitted to the crew on the ground while in flight. The remaining data had to be transferred after landing. We plan to conduct testing of mobile 5G technology that enables the transfer of petabytes of data while in flight to allow real-time analysis by field crew. Next slide. Closely related to the first new initiative, the second new initiative at JBSA 5G Program Management Office is 5G as a platform for ubiquitous data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. 5G enables ubiquitous use of advanced decision-making tools such as artificial intelligence and machine learning. Think of 5G technology as untethered access to the internet. This has the potential to change the way the military, governments, and industry use data for better informed, real-time decision making. The 5G technology being developed at JBSA puts San Antonio at the forefront of this rapidly emerging capability. In order to take full advantage of the opportunity, the 5G line of effort 2 is leveraging the SA-EMD partnerships to shape the vision, goals, and strategy to make San Antonio a center of gravity in 5G-enabled ubiquitous data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Next slide. A newly restructured 5G steering committee is charged with shaping the vision, goals, and strategies for the line of effort 2 working group. The steering committee is comprised of 15 San Antonio community leaders that meet bi-weekly to fulfill their mission. The restructured working group is comprised of over 60 members representing the military, local government, academia, research, and industry. During the summer, we are meeting bi-weekly to hear about innovative advances in 5G technology, and in the fall, we will transition to a monthly meeting. Please contact the JBSA SA-EMD representative if you are interested in joining the 5G working group. Next slide. The JBSA 5G Program Management Office offers a vision for the line of effort that will be further shaped by the steering committee. The vision is for San Antonio to be recognized as a leader in 5G as a ubiquitous platform for data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Next slide. All of San Antonio can benefit from this vision. This list of stakeholders is by no means exhaustive, but represents some of the members of the 5G steering committee and working groups. Next slide. The goals that we have set to realize the vision will also be further shaped by the committee. These goals focus on building an ecosystem that supports workforce development, research, and commercialization of 5G technology and the widespread use of data for decision-making that it enables. Goal 1 is to build an educated, 5G-enabled data analytic, artificial intelligence, and machine learning workforce. This involves creating a workforce with strong skills not only in data analytics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, but also data engineering and 5G technology in general. Goal 2, become a center of 5G-enabled data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning research. Goal 3, become a center of intelligent 5G-based telemedicine. Goal 4, become a center for smart 5G-based cities and bases. And Goal 5, become a center for application of 5G-enabled data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning for the DoD. We look forward to working with the steering committee and working group as we build this ecosystem in San Antonio. I encourage you to become involved in this effort. Please contact the SA-EMD office if you would like to join the working group. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Dr. Gippert, thanks for that update on our 5G line of effort. With that, if you notice, we're a little bit out of sequence today because we wanted our 5G on the front end of the program. Now I'm going to move back to infrastructure. So our first line of effort is on infrastructure, and I'm going to be giving you an update on where we're at with the infrastructure piece before turning it over to Mr. Fred Bonnywell from CPS Energy, along with Ms. Vivian Bouet. After Vivian, we will turn it over to Mr. John Ostrich, who will also give us an update on 3 programs he's sponsoring. So with that, slide please. So as it relates to the infrastructure line of effort, inside of the wire on Joint Base San Antonio down at Lackland, or one of our southernmost installations, we're doing an upgrade to our POL facility, our petroleum oils and lubricant facility. This is sponsored by DoD, and we're in our first phase of this program right now. After our last quarterly meeting, we recently awarded a contract to do an engineering survey for the POL facility to determine what needed to be EMP'd hardened. In that process, the contract was awarded to Southwest Research Institute, And we had a kickoff meeting shown in the bottom right corner of that slide. It shows an image of where we had the initial kickoff meeting down at Lackland. And that effort is just about to conclude itself. It's been ongoing for about 6 weeks now, a little bit more than 6 weeks. But we're really excited to be able to conclude phase one and find out what that report reveals. That will feed our second phase, where we'll actually go into a true engineering assessment before we enter more of the long-term build part of the program, which will likely be a multi-year program in phase three. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and turn over the infrastructure update to Mr. Fred Bonnywell from CPS Energy. Fred, welcome.
Thank you, Apollo, and welcome everyone. Happy Friday. This is another exciting opportunity to provide a briefing to you and with you on this huge collaborative effort that we began just 18 months ago, but it's picking up a lot of steam. So I'm really excited. And I want to also footnote thanks to General Miller for your congratulatory remarks. I only take them briefly because we can't let any sand settle under our feet. This will extend quickly into new horizons and new opportunities, so I'm really looking forward to it. Resiliency remains as one of our top key value pillars of CPS Energy, and in fact, now it's probably the number one pillar that we're dealing with, opportunistically, as well as a follow-up to the recent Winter Storm Uri. So it remains on all fronts very connected to us, all the way up to our Board of Trustees. So I'm really excited about the fact that we began this resiliency project some time ago, and now we're really getting into the elements of seeing things in reality come alive, which is really exciting. We remain connected to the project, Circuit 1, and in fact, we're looking for opportunities relative to renewable generation, relative to that particular project at hand, to make it more resilient for the future of our community, and specifically Joint Base San Antonio and the Department of Defense. We have a lot to do to ensure the sovereignty of our country, and this particular project is key to that. Also, I'd like to take the opportunity this morning to welcome, as part of our team, a person that is one of my colleagues at CPS Energy. She serves as our Senior Chief Information Officer, and she's held that position now for about 3 years. Her name is Vivian Bouet, and Vivian has a very deep background in the area of information technology, specifically in the area of 5G development and automatic artificial intelligence. And so she has a specific area of interest when she worked at Walgreens, and she worked extensively with the healthcare industry, which I think provides a critical segue to this project for the future. I'm really excited about her involvement on the executive council of this project, and she provides us with new horizons and new opportunities as we see this project really move forward and take root like we imagined it would at the very beginning back in November of 2019. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Fred. That was an incredibly kind introduction, and I appreciate it. So first, what I would like to do is I would like to thank General Mike Lovell for this opportunity, this really incredible opportunity to be able to contribute on some of the important things that you're doing on this program. My background, over 25 years of experience, has been in strategy and in technology. And I hope some of that can lend to some of the aspirations that we're trying to do here, as well as some of the real resiliency that we'll be bringing to bear for our community and then broadly extended out. So overall, I am extremely excited to be part of this program, and I thank everyone for the opportunity. Thank you.
With that, it is truly an honor to have our partners from CPS Energy here today. It means a lot, and it allows us to really propel this program fast. When I talk to people in other cities and townships and they see the progress we're making, we know it's because CPS Energy is such an integral partner to this program, and it's a joy to have Mr. Bonniwell and Ms. Bouet with us today. Our next speaker is Mr. John Ostrich. He's with the Department of Energy. He is the Program Manager for Risk and Hazards Analysis, Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response with DOE. So with that, I welcome Mr. Ostrich.
Good morning. I'm John Ostrich, and I serve as the manager of the Risk and Hazards Analysis Program within the Department of Energy's Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response, known as CESAR. This program plays an important role in many facets of understanding and managing both electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, and geomagnetic disturbance, or GMD, risks within the energy sector. Our program addresses modeling and assessments, testing and validation, and mitigation. Our focus is primarily, but not exclusively, on the electricity grid. We're starting to do more in oil and natural gas and photovoltaic systems as well. As part of the resilience activities in San Antonio, DOE CESAR is assessing vulnerabilities, examining hardening options and costs, and looking to facilitate the implementation of the most cost-effective mitigation and protection options for 3 pilots. These pilots cover generation, transmission, and distribution. For generation, we're looking at the high-altitude EMP, or HEMP, vulnerability of the natural gas-fired power plant supplying electricity to Joint Base San Antonio and to San Antonio in general. We are working with CPS Energy on this, and Sandia is conducting the technical work on the project. For transmission, we are looking at a CPS Energy substation coming off the pilot natural gas power plant that supplies electricity to Joint Base San Antonio. EPRI is performing this technical work. Similarly, we are working with EPRI on examining the distribution system, supplying electricity directly to Joint Base San Antonio from the substation. These pilots were selected based on an interest in hardening from the owner, CPS Energy. The ability to leverage the overall national pilot represented by the Joint Base San Antonio program and CESAR's requirement under an executive order on EMP GMD resilience to run EMP pilots to validate mitigation and protection technologies. The generation pilot also fits into CESAR's program to assess the vulnerability of black start type resources to an EMP. As an aside, natural gas fired units and hydropowered plants make up virtually all the black start plants in the United States. Phase 1 of the generation pilot will assess HEMP, both E1 and E2, vulnerability of this natural gas-fired power plant and identify and recommend multiple options to reduce vulnerability. In addition, cost estimates of each of the options will be developed, and a cost-benefits analysis will be completed. The team was delayed due to COVID-19 restrictions, but I'm happy to announce that the vulnerability assessment team performed a site assessment earlier this week and will then provide recommendations on mitigation and protection options based on those findings. The EMP Vulnerability Assessment Plan was reviewed by Sandia National Laboratories and CPS Energy representatives. Results from the site visit will inform the vulnerability assessment. An initial critical component list and literature review are expected to be delivered in July, where critical is defined as necessary to maintain operations following an EMP or a GMD event. In Phase 2, CESAR and CPS Energy will discuss and agree which mitigation options are cost-effective, and then use a cost-share agreement to have a contractor implement the selected options. This could take another 1 to 2 years to complete. Planning for the mitigation assessment has been initiated. As mentioned, a site visit took place earlier this week, and a critical equipment list from CPS Energy will also guide the final vulnerability assessment. For the transmission and distribution pilots, the sites are ones that EPRI visited in 2019. This will make assessments possible with good engineering diagrams from CPS Energy without additional site visits, just as would be the case for a greenfield project. The team will use the many photographs taken in the 2019 visit in addition to the detailed drawings from CPS Energy. EPRI can ask for additional photos if necessary. The overall objective for both pilots is to perform an E1 hemp vulnerability assessment for the CPS Energy's transmission distribution substation and a distribution feeder. No testing will be performed directly as part of the project, but the two pilot projects will leverage years and millions of dollars of past EPRI research to enable the detailed assessments. A data sharing agreement has been signed and a data sharing site was created in May 2021. Additionally, a kickoff meeting between EPRI and CPS Energy occurred last week. Key substation and distribution circuit drawings and information from CPS Energy is expected by the end of June, and this will allow modeling to begin. The primary Phase 1 project deliverables are reports describing the assessment methodology, mitigation options based on the assessed vulnerability, and associated costs for each option. We expect simulations and assessments to be completed, report to be drafted by December. Phase 2 mitigation option selection implementation will take several years after completion of Phase 1. This slide shows the basic modeling analysis approach for the transmission and distribution projects. EPRI will interpret the substation and distribution system drawings and input into EPRI's ECAT 3D software model to estimate the conducted threat stresses to critical electronics in a representative E1 environment. Then the team will use past direct injection and guided wave testing, the data from that, along with control house shielding effectiveness test results, to inform radiated threat stress versus strength, as well as the conducted threat strength of equipment. Next will be a comparison of radiated and conducted threat stress versus strength using statistical methods to determine risks and inform areas in which mitigation is needed. The team will then work with CPS Energy and equipment manufacturers to determine cost of identified mitigation solutions, whether mitigation or hardening approaches. Not shown in the figure is the actual selection and implementation of the chosen mitigation technologies. Thank you. I look forward to any questions we may have after the presentations are completed. I can be reached at this email address if you prefer.
Well, Mr. Ostrich, thanks for that update as it relates to our support for Presidential Executive Order 13865 or 13865 for EMP resilience. The three programs you're sponsoring in San Antonio are big, and we very much appreciate your partnership with us. At this point, we're going to transition to our third line of effort, our policy and education line of effort. We affectionately call it domestic electromagnetic spectrum operations. And one of our volunteers from the National Security Collaboration Center, Dr. John Huggins, is going to update us on LOE 3. John?
Hello, I am John Huggins, the Technology Officer for the National Security Collaboration Center at the University of Texas, San Antonio. And I will be giving the DEMSO Electromagnetic Spectrum Operations Update. So the focus here for our DEMSO steering committee over this last quarter, part of it has actually been recalibration of our mission, vision, and goals. And really that calibration has been for us to focus on really what the guide is about. If you've been following DEMSO from its inception over these last 2 years, what you see as our mission, vision, and goals really has not changed significantly since that start. But really there has been a significant turnover on our staff. And through that has really been looking at fundamentally what is DEMSO all about. So next slide, please. So with that really has been around the DEMSO guide. A lot of focus over this last quarter really has been maturing this DEMSO guide. And as part of that has really been the DEMSO definition. Just like the DEMSO mission, vision, and goals, the DEMSO definition really hasn't changed. However, it's been really about streamlining what the definition is about. As we look at DEMSO, it's just not IMSO with a D, and a lot of that really is from that military context, and really understanding that for what DEMSO is, it has a broader sense beyond just the base of JBSA. So next slide. So as we look at what we've done on the DEMSO guide, I mentioned a lot of focus on the DEMSO definition. Another piece really has been the threat. So as we look at the threat as it relates to DEMSO, as this has really been about EMP, GMD, is that really the threat? And for that is really pulling out the threat from the introduction, because the threat, obviously, just like the definition, is important about setting the stage for DEMSO. So with that, I'm not going to set a date of when we're going to release the DEMSO guide, but it obviously is a very important piece for us at the DEMSO Steering Committee to release the guide here shortly, because we want to get it out for external review, so fundamentally we can publish and disseminate that to JBSA and the surrounding community. Another piece that we've worked on within the DEMSO guide has been the resiliency model. So with the resiliency model, the focus has been on a national response framework developed by FEMA, but within the focus initially within the guide, it was around education. But as we looked at what DEMSO and around the resiliency model, what had been started, that we understood that this could actually apply across the context of DEMSO. So a focus here on the steering committee in conjunction with the guide is broadening the context of this resiliency model. Next slide, please. So this is a visualization of the resiliency model from scaling from individual all the way to local and state government, and then from the levels of resiliency, and then what are the aspects of resiliency from awareness to response. So next slide, please. So this gives an example of, from an individual perspective, of awareness through response, and then from low resiliency to exceptional resiliency of what we're trying to capture within this resiliency model. But just realizing that we are in process of really expanding the content of this model from an education purpose to the broader context of DEMSO. Next slide. So once again, thank you for your time this morning, and look forward to your questions about the DEMSO effort.
Dr. Huggins, thanks for that update. It's amazing how after working on this program for some 18 months plus, that definitions are so key to what we're writing and trying to communicate that. I genuinely appreciate your update. Now it's my honor to transition us into our fourth line of effort, recovery readiness. And with that, slide please. So really the big update here is a small segment of our program today, but it's massive. And it relates to our joint installation emergency management plan, or the tool that we plan for on Joint Base San Antonio, all types of risk. Most people look at a high altitude nuclear weapon or HEMP or a geomagnetic disturbance in the category of planning as any other hazard. So they look at it as an all hazards plan. Well, after this journey that we've been in this program, we realize that a tailored approach to EMD resilience is so critical to our ability to sustain and continue military operations. So for that reason, we wrote a specialized annex to the Joint Installation Emergency Management Plan. It's recently released as of March 19th of this year and visualized on the screen now. But pages 145 through 155 are specific to an EMP annex. They are controlled. It is a controlled document. So we're glad to share that with other DoD organizations, and we're open to working with other organizations that may be interested in it, but it's not shown in great content or detail today because of the controlled nature of the document. General Miller, it is absolutely my honor to share with you that we have hit mission success on this line of effort by completing this annex and having it published in your Joint Installation Emergency Management Plan. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and transition over to Ms. Breeza Horace. Breeza is our new member of EDI, and she's going to give us some updates on administrative items as we get ready to close this meeting out. Breeza, over to you.
Morning, and thank you, Mr. Lovell. I will be bringing you the SAEMD admin items. First, I want you all to know that we will be having the next
Thanks, Breeza. What an incredible update today. We heard about carbon neutral upgrades, which will add to the resilience efforts, along with updates from the Department of Energy. We also heard about the policy and education lines on effort from Dr. Huggins, and updates from others involved in all we do. All of the efforts are greatly appreciated. I am very excited about the 5G line of effort as we pursue Dr. Rad's challenge in artificial intelligence. Our mission partners need it, and we have the right program management office to deliver solutions in this arena. As we wrap this up, I want to express my sincere appreciation again to all of our volunteers. You really are making a difference in building resiliency in San Antonio, Texas, and the nation. Thank you.